Martin Emslie is an accomplished musical performer, composer, arranger and director who lives near Castle Carey. He's frequently in demand as a musical director for both choral and orchestral productions, and he's recently composed his first oratorio. Music's been part of Martin's life since school, and he played the organ in local churches. He even supported Frank Carson and Les Dawson for their Blackpool shows. I've got to ask about that. He has an engineering degree and spent most of his working life at Westlands, but alongside that, he's organised just 16 Yeovil gang shows, was musical director of 2 local choirs, he now runs 3, and instrumental in innumerable pantos and musical shows throughout Somerset. Now, last Easter, failing to find anything new for his choir to sing, he decided to write something himself. Omega and Alpha is the result. It's received the blessing of the Bishop of Bath and Wells, no less, who agreed that Martin could hold the world premiere in Wells Cathedral in 2 weeks' time. He's also submitted it to the London College of Music for their opinion, and they've awarded him the accolade of a fellowship. I think they might have liked it. There's a real sense of excitement and interest around this new English oratorio that's been written with choirs in mind. I can't wait to find out more about it. We welcome Martin Emslie to Somerset Lives. Good morning.
Good morning, Emma.
Lovely to have you here.
Lovely to be here.
I've decided, in my humble and not really worth much valued opinion, I think you might be the missing link between classical and popular music, because I'll hold my hands up and admit to being a bit intimidated at the thought of an oratorio.
Oh, don't be intimidated.
Isn't it something big and scary that posh people sing?
I don't know, no, but I'm being worried about being called the missing link. But no, don't be scared about it.
No?
Don't be scared about it.
Okay.
These words, classical, worry people, and they really shouldn't. Classical music, what we call classical music today, was the popular music when it was written.
And I think people like you help to break down those stereotypes, don't you?
Oh, I do hope so.
Yeah, no, I think you do.
Hope so.
If music's such a big part of your life and has been for so long, how do you end up being an engineer? Not that there's anything wrong with being an engineer.
When I left school, and when I were talking sort of 70s time, the music industry was a sort of very precarious industry, so we decided that I would use the engineering to bring the money in and have the music to have my fun with.
And both sat along happily together?
Yeah, no problem at all. 9 to 5 doing engineering, 5 to 9 doing music.
Someone's once said to me about engineering, if you ever think engineering is boring, everything around you that we see, we touch, we sit on and we're engaging with has been engineered in some way.
Absolutely.
So, very important role, very important
Absolutely.
role. I've got to ask about Frank Carson and Les Dawson before I forget. How did you end up playing the organ for them?
Scared the living daylights out of me, and it was a complete fluke. Bearing in mind that this happened with Les Dawson when I was 18.
Oh, right.
And in the late 70s, Les was one of the biggest TV stars of the time. I mean, he was really big.
Yeah.
And we'd done a little show in the church where I was involved. It was a little scout gang show. And one of the children in the show was Les's son.
Okay.
Okay. So after the show, which was really successful, we'd been asked to perform a couple of numbers at the local OAP's Christmas party. And so we said, yes, all right, right. And Les offered to come down to the Christmas party and do a little act.
Yeah.
Now, this is the biggest TV star of the time.
And he played piano as well, didn't he?
Oh, yes. I mean, part of his act was he messed around as a clown on the piano.
Yes.
Don't be fooled. He was a very, very good musician. Anyway, instead of the 4 people in a wheelchair and a few Zimmer frames turning up, because word got out that Les was actually going to be doing an act, there were like 200 people there. It was heaving. And I went in to listen to Les's act, and there were no chairs left. I was the organist. There was an organ there, so I sat at the organ.
As you do.
As you do. Les started his act. He turned round to me and said, "Are you the organist?" Now, I'm 18 years old, biggest TV star in the country. I said, yes. So he said, play F. So I played an F, and he said, that sounds more like L. And from that point onwards, all the jokes were about the organist rather than the mother-in-law, which was his stock-in-trade joke.
You became part of his act.
Yeah. And then he said, oh, can you do pack up all my cares and woes. So I started playing, and he did his act. He'd stop after every line and go into a line of gags and carry on playing. And I was part of his act for about half an hour.
That's amazing.
And I was nervous, is a good way of putting it. You know, I was shaking. We finished the act, and then he went off back, and he invited to talk to me afterwards. And he was an absolute gentleman and an extremely fine musician, I might add.
Wow.
Lovely guy. But that was at age 18, and that scared the living daylights out of me.
How many different instruments can you play?
I play...
Or is it easier to say what you can't play?
No, no, please. No, I play anything with a piano keyboard, in other words, pianos, synthesizers, organs, that sort of thing, and guitars, any sort of guitar.
All right, well, before we go on to talk a little bit more about the work you do on the gang shows and the choirs, and then we're going to talk about Amiga and Alpha, we're going to have a little quick go, because we'll never get time to do this later, with the Somerset Shuffle, okay? So here's my cards.
Oh, right, okay.
I've been shuffling really like an amateur. Just pick one of those, any one, and tell us what it says. What does it say?
Who is the person you miss the most?
Ooh.
I've been listening to your programme and been worried about these cards. Who is the person you miss the most? When you're in a studio being faced with a question like that, I have to say the person who supports you most, which has to be my wife.
Yeah.
Oh, what a nice one.
But she's still with you, so not someone that's passed away or anything.
Oh, no,
like
no,
That's
absolutely
good.
not.
Just in case anyone was
she's
listening.
in the car park outside listening to the programme.
You should have brought her in. Okay, thank you for that. That's brilliant. I don't think we'll have much time more because there's so much to talk about. You've organised all the different, many gang shows in the Yeovil area. Mm-hmm. From my point of view, and I've been to a couple of gang shows, they always appear to be such hard work to pull together because of the sheer number of people involved, but they bring so much enjoyment.
They bring so much enjoyment, and they teach so much to the young people taking part. When you do a show like that, it's not just about the music or the dancing or the rest. It's all about teamwork.
Yeah.
And, to get a sort of 8- and 9-year-olds really understanding how a team of, say, 250 people can come together and do a show like that, and everybody depend on everybody else to get it right. That's a huge thing. And they learn so much by doing something like that. And an awful lot of them go on to doing other work in the theatre or in choirs and things afterwards.
What gets you excited about a live performance? Where do you get your buzz from? Is it from the preparation, the rehearsal, or is it that night, that when it's in front of a real audience?
You get, and you need to have that adrenaline buzz for the actual performance. But you need to be able to go into something knowing that you can do it. And that's what the preparation, I suppose, like you doing your programme, you've got to prepare.
Well, it might sound made up, but...
I'm sure you do a lot of preparation, but it's all about preparation and knowing what you're doing, and it's a real good lesson in life. And
you've been involved with several different choirs, haven't you? Who are you currently involved with?
I'm currently involved with 3 choirs. One which is with the church, which I'm the organist for in Castle Carey, the parish church choir. And then there's Castle Carey Choir, which is a community choir, and also Oakfield Choir in Frome.
Wow. When you're the church organist, are you ever tempted to, adapt or modernise or maybe throw in a bit of Coldplay or something? I don't know, I'm just feeling...
We do it every week.
Do you?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. One of the first churches that I played for, which I can now happily say because I know that the radio won't get that far, was up in Lancashire. And it was a church I played for a number of years. And I got bored during the communion. And so I was sitting there playing away, and I was playing this particular tune. And the vicar came up to me afterwards and said, "Martin, that was lovely. What was that tune that you were playing? Because I faintly recognised it." So I said, "Oh, you mean the Mendelssohn?" "Oh, yes." And he went away quite happily, not realising that the whole congregation had been having their communion to the theme from The Magic Roundabout.
Martin!
You tell me any organist who hasn't played jokes like that.
What would God say?
Time for bed.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. Okay, coming up, we're going to talk about this very, very exciting premiere. It takes place 2 weeks' time at Wells Cathedral. It's called Omega and Alpha. We're going to hear a little bit from it as well. How it came about, how you even begin to write anything like this, who is this aimed at, and what has Martin got to do in the next 2 weeks? Back to my Somerset Lives guest, Martin Emslie, who lives near Castle Carey. Music has been a massive part of Martin's life, most of his life. He also enjoys an engineer as well, and did that as the sort of day job. But recently, a very, very big project has been his life's priority. Last Easter, failing to find anything new for his choir to sing, Martin decided to write something himself. The result is Omega and Alpha. Now, it's been described as a new English oratorio written with choirs in mind. First of all, what's an oratorio? I'm sorry.
What's an oratorio?
Well, I see it and I think, I'm not sure.
Let's go back 300 years.
Oh, okay.
Okay, right. The big way of people going out to see something was opera.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the church, especially during Lent, thought this is a bit too much like having good fun.
It's not appropriate.
Not appropriate. So all this big spectacle about the sets and the costumes and the movement and the dancing and the rest of it, can't do that. So all the musicians said, OK, we'll just stand here and sing it as a concert.
Okay.
And that became known as an oratorio.
Is it as much fun?
Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm just checking.
Yeah, it's far more fun. Because what you've got to do with the music is you've got to put all the passion and the emotion purely in the music without sort of resorting to the big sets and costumes and all the rest of it. It's just to be listened to.
A bit like radio.
Yeah.
So, like, when you compare radio to TV, you haven't got any pictures
Absolutely.
or special effects.
Absolutely.
You've only got what you can hear.
Absolutely.
Oh, I understand it now.
Oh, great.
Omega and Alpha, what is it as in a story?
Well, I have to go to the Bible. I'm sorry. The book of Revelations, God says, I am the Alpha and the Omega. I am the beginning and the end. Alpha being the first letter of the Greek alphabet, Omega being the last.
Right.
Okay. And what I'm thinking here, with my engineer's hat,
yeah,
if you want something new to start, you need something to finish. Okay.
So you switched them round?
So I switched them round. And with the Omega, the end of Jesus' life, was the start of Christianity. The Omega and Alpha.
So have you had to write a story, or have you had to write the music to tell an existing story?
Music to tell the existing story. What I've taken is the Easter story.
Yeah.
From the Palm Sunday bit, coming in on the donkey and doing all that, but in the Last Supper and all that stuff, going through to the resurrection. So I've taken that story and set it to music. But what is different to what I've done is I've tried to put in what the characters must be thinking, because Jesus was doing all these apparently stupid things. And all his followers were saying, what are you doing that for? You're going to get yourself into real trouble. But actually, it's my contention that Jesus had to be crucified before he could be resurrected. It was only with the miracle of the resurrection that people would believe, and it would go into Christianity.
Who's going to be performing it? Because this is exciting.
Well, you mentioned in your introduction about it being accessible for choirs.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of pieces that are written nowadays are commissioned by the big choirs. So the choirs who can afford it, they'll go to a composer and say, please, will you write something for us? And because they're the big choirs, the smaller choirs find it really difficult to achieve it, especially if you need a full symphony orchestra or something like that to perform.
Yeah.
So I've written something which the smaller choirs, of which there are thousands around the country, what we call non-audition choirs, is a choirs where anybody can come and have a go.
Okay.
Right? You don't have to go through a big audition before you're allowed to be in it. And so it's for the general populace of choirs. This is something that they can achieve. So it was written for choirs like that in mind. And in fact, I have got people from the 3 choirs which I run, plus friends from Wincanton Choral Society and other choirs. joined together to make a big choir.
And you got one coming down from Yorkshire as well?
Yeah.
You want to muscle in on the act?
From Wakefield.
From Wakefield to Wells.
Absolutely, Wakefield to Wells. And so that's my choir.
Wow.
I wanted to put together an orchestra for the Wells gig, and so we've put together a 46-piece orchestra.
Just like that?
Just like that, yeah. And then we've got 3 professional soloists.
Yeah, run us through the 3 soloists.
Okay. The first solo is Marta Fontanals-Simmons, who is a mezzo-soprano, the technical term. She comes originally from Castlecarey and is currently training at the Guildhall School of Music in London, and has got a really gorgeous voice. Secondly, we've got Gerard Del Rey, who is a bass, and he sings with the English National Opera and various others, sung all over the world. Lovely guy. And thirdly, we've got Jonathan Ansell, who was the tenor lead in the group G4, which was on the first ever UK series of X Factor.
Yeah, nearly 10 years ago. I think it was 2004, wasn't it?
2004, yeah.
Wow.
And they came second in that first ever. I can't remember the name of the person who won it, but everyone remembers G4.
They do. That's a great lineup.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to play a little piece. Can you tell us about what we're going to play?
Yeah, this is a piece which is sung by Marta, as in the role of Mary Magdalene. And this is just after the trial has happened and Jesus has been sentenced to the scourging and the crucifixion. And these are her emotions as to what she's trying to think of what's happening, and she's trying to understand what's going on.
Taken from a new oratorio composed and conducted by my Somerset Lives guests today, Martin Emslie, Omega and Alpha. Beautiful, Martin, beautiful.
Thank you.
What a voice, what a voice. So, it's the 13th of April, 2 weeks today?
2 weeks today, yeah.
Nervous?
Yeah, ish.
Can anyone come along to the cathedral?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Get there.
Okay.
Get there. It'll be the real opportunity. Yeah.
Well, doors open at 6 o'clock. Performance starts just after 7. You can find out more information on the website omegaandalpha.co.uk, or just pop it in your search engine. You can also call the Cathedral box office as well, which is 01749 672 773, and I have all the details here at BBC Somerset as well if you haven't had a chance to get them down. I think it's going to be a pretty impressive evening, Martin.
I hope so.
And a culmination of what, a year's work?
Well, about 18 months really in total.
18 months. Yeah. Well, very best wishes.
Well, that's very nice of you. Thank you very much, Emma.
If you want to find out more about Martin himself, he has his own website, martinemsleymusic.com, and you can have a look at his huge list of accolades and achievements and what he's done in his life. Really, really interesting, and an excellent Somerset Lives guest. Happy Easter.
Thank you. Happy Easter, Emma, and thanks very much. I've loved being here.
You're welcome.